up? Welcome into week 2 of Bleacher Talk. I'm Claudia Collins alongside Jordan Spurgeon. We had so much fun in week 1, covered a lot of ground. I know I went out to Desert Vista, first game under Scooter Molander. Wasn't the result that they wanted, but it was exactly the start to the rebuild they were looking for. Hit up Marcos Deniza hosting Yuma Catholic on Friday. Super fun game. Second half, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, so can't blame me for what happened in the second half. And then over at Corona del Sol, I did a really cool segment with Jody Jackson, which we'll see here coming up. Spurge, quick rundown of what your week looked like. Where'd you go?
Yeah, it was a lot of ground covered. Thursday went out to Red Mountain. Got a cool story out of there that we're going to have in Bleacher Talk today as well. Returning from a knee injury, I think going to be one of the top defensive linemen in the state. So you're definitely going to want to tune into that. And then Friday night, same thing, kind of bounced around, went out to Higley and saw them play Campo Verde. They're just as explosive as they were last year, despite quarterback change. And it's not even going to be their official quarterback, Luke, who's going to come in after week 5. So they were exciting to watch. And then Saguaro, Zach Hill taking over for Jason Mons. They didn't miss a beat down a really, really good ALA Queen Creek team, even though I got there in the third quarter. It was about an hour and a half long third quarter. It was a very, very long game. All kinds of chaos happening, penalties, things like that. But Saguaro hasn't missed a beat, so that was fun to see. And ALA Queen Creek's got some guys too that were fun to watch. So yeah, a lot of good action in week 1.
Lots of good action and made for a really fun quick picks. We'll bring in Bruce Cooper now. Bruce, you and Spurge are just continuing to lead the charge with the first 2 years, now third year of Bleacher Talk, and you're already beating me. So I feel like y'all are on the right track. We were both 2-1. I'm 1-2 after last week. Couple of games there that could have been a toss-up, but I know the surprising one was obviously that Liberty game. We weren't expecting Liberty to beat down on Hamilton like that. I don't think any of us could have called that result, but lots of interesting stuff there in week 1. But I want to get right into week 2, starting with Queen Creek taking on Castile. Bruce, you get to make the first pick.
Oh my. Battle of Queen Creek, huh? Well, I'll tell you what surprised me. I didn't expect for Mesa Mountain View to really kind of handle Queen Creek last week. I know there Jack Germain, the quarterback from Mountain View, coming off a third ACL injury there, and he just showed his mastery. I mean, this kid is something really, really special. I mean, to battle back from adversity the way he did, but I was just so surprised at how they controlled and handled the Bulldogs. So having said that, I look over the other side. I saw that Bobby Newcomb and his Castile Colts didn't miss a beat, dominated Boulder Creek 37-7. It's a home game for the Castile Colts. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna go with the home team based on what I saw or know from week 1. That I'll take Castile to beat the Bulldogs, and I'll give you a score of Castile 31, Queen Creek 17.
Bruce, I'm going to go ahead and make my pick because I had pretty much all of the same points when I went back and looked at that Mountain View result. It was kind of the same thing. I think we all would have probably had that been in quick picks last week. I think our results would all be a little bit different because it sounds like, based on the nod from Spurge, we were all going to pick differently there. I've got to say, when I look at Castile, they've got a lot of senior talent and they really have continued to build off of the team that they've been developing over the last few years. Just overall leadership and camaraderie of the team, I think, is fully there. Not to say that it's not there with Queen Creek, but I think it's just going to take a few weeks of ramping things up over at Queen Creek for me to have made that pick. I think it would maybe be a different pick a couple weeks down the line, but I'm gonna give the exact same pick there and take the Castile Colts. What about you, Spurge?
Yeah, I think this time we're all leaning the same way. I mean, Queen Creek known for their defense, but giving up 40 against Mountain View, that's not characteristic of Queen Creek teams under Coach Travis Sherman. But I do think that Castile just has the more talent. I mean, JJ Newcomb is a force to be reckoned with. They like the new quarterback they got under center there, plenty of weapons in the backfield. And their offensive line and defensive line are a little bigger than I've noticed in the last couple of years, seeing them in spring and summer. So they have a little extra size that maybe they've been lacking. Last year, they were a team that I thought was going to win 6A. They were there up until the semis when they lost to Pinnacle in a really tough game. And this is a team that looks like they want to push through that ceiling this year. So I like what Bobby's been building. All they've done is win. Every single year they've gotten better, and I think the trend continues this year. Give me Castile over Queen Creek. I'm going to say 27-20.
I'll pick the same score as Spurge because I realized I didn't make my my score pick there. But I'm going to move on to the next matchup. Highland taking on Basha. I think this is a really fun matchup. I'll go ahead and make my pick. This is a game that I talked about with Coach McDonald back in May, and he pointed it out specifically. I quote saying, I think Highland is going to be one of the surprise teams in the state. They're a legitimate open contender. What I think is funny about that is they've been a legitimate open contender for the last couple of years. Well, they actually have a spot in the open this year. Got a few more weeks to find out. But it's so hard to pick against the Basha Bears, our open division champions from last year. So none of this is a dig on Highland whatsoever. I just think that Basha is just as good as they were last year, despite not returning a few of their key guys, because they left and went on to college. Their offense is still stacked. They've got the best QB in the state. There's no argument against that. And he was excellent in week one, exactly what we would have expected out of Damon Williams Jr. They've added tight end Javery Mayberry, who's committed to NAU now. He's someone that his name, anytime we bring up tight ends in Arizona, he's the guy. And then defensive ends, Brody Jones and Jack Blyer. There's just, the list of talent as expected from the Basha Bears goes on and on. I can't pick up against them. I do think it's going to be a closer game. I'm going to go 30-24. What about you, Bruce?
Wow, I think you said it. You summed it all up there. The Highland Hawks, the two-time defending 6A champs who just can't seem to catch a break to get into the open division. And then you talked about Basha winning their open division title for the first time in school history a year ago. Look, I love what Brock Farrell is doing over at Highland. They're a very physical team. They don't rebuild. They just continue to reload there, like Kalen Fisher, the quarterback there, Cody Cullimore, such a physical player on both sides of the ball. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Claudia, when you talked about the best quarterback in the state in Damon Williams Jr. He accounted for 6 of their 10 touchdowns last Friday against Westwood, do I have to say? Hey, but my alma mater. But he's just such a difference maker. He's a playmaker. He's a stud. It's hard for me to bet against Basha, given the talent and playmaking abilities of Damon Williams. So yeah, I'm going to take Basha to win this game as well, 28-24.
All right, Spurge, you going to pick against the Bears?
So this is where things get interesting. I like what Coach McDonald said about Highland, because when I look at Highland last year, they struggled all year on offense, and the defense was elite like always. And then they get to the championship game against Pinnacle, and Kalen Fisher looks incredible as a sophomore. Now he's a junior. The offensive playmakers have all gotten better. They were all young last year. So now you pile on arguably the top defense in the state with an offense that is well above average. In fact, maybe even one of the top 10 offenses in the state, if not better by the end of this year. And while I do think Basha is still the favorite to repeat as open division champions, I don't think they're going to run the table this year. And I think this is a tough game for them. I wrote about it when Eric Sorensen asked me about it for his own read last week with Highland, being interesting because there's been so much discussion about them being left out of the open, and it's always been 3 losses. And last year you had Hamilton and I believe Chandler, and then the school in Utah, Lone Park. So this year they have Basha, the school in Utah, and Hamilton on their schedule. If they win one of those games, they're probably in the open. So they've had this game circled for a while because it's Basha, then Lone Park, then a break, and then I think Chandler or Hamilton. I forget off the top of my head. I'm going to roll with Highland in this game over Basha. It's a bit of an early trap game. It's not a knock on Basha at all. It's going to be hard fought to the end. There's going to be so many great defensive plays on both sides, but give me Highland in the end, a late thriller. I'm going to say 24-21 over Basha.
Spurge, I love this pick, not only because I think it's maybe not what everyone was thinking, but you kind of started to sell me on it a little bit too. So all right, last pick here, Snowflake versus Cactus. Spurge, since you're just rolling with these picks, go ahead. Who do you have?
Yeah, I mean, this is another interesting matchup. Snowflake obviously has been a title contender for years and years and years now. They've won a few in the last few years, and Cactus, many thought they would take a step back last year after making the Open under Coach Ortiz 2 years ago. And, even with a slow start, they ended up being a team right there at the end last year. So Cactus just kind of has that culture built right now. I think they're just a little bit more used to the division of football they're in right now with Snowflake. And I think defensively, they're also one of the more underrated teams in the state. I think it was an impressive game last week to beat Sunny Slope. They have Luke Moga over there, the Oregon football commit at quarterback. And I think, being able to outlast him and that offense over there is impressive. And so I'm going to roll with Cactus over Snowflake on this one. I say it's going to be not necessarily too close. I'd take Cactus 31, Snowflake 17.
Spurs, I like this pick as well. Hit a lot of points that I would have done as well. That Sunny Slope game, I think, is what it's going to come down to for anyone who's probably picking Cactus this week, going up against Luke Moga. If you have a defense that can stop him, that says a lot about any team. I have not picked against Snowflake anytime we've done quick picks over the last 2 years. So this is not a dig on the Lobos and K Solomon, because that team is always impressive. Similar to what Coop said before, it's not even that they reload. It is just generations of players coming through Snowflake, and it always makes things really interesting. They have a ton of seniors and juniors on the team. I think that they will go far, but I just don't think at this point in the season, with a loss to Open against Bradshaw Mountain, I think it's hard for me to pick against Cactus after what they did last week. So I'm going to go a little bit closer. I'm going to go 24-17 Cactus. Coop, close us out.
Well, I think you both are pretty much spot on. I mean, Snowflake, a perennial power, but I mean, they lost to Bradshaw Mountain for only the second time in school history. First time they ever lost to Bradshaw Mountain was way back in 1994. I think before either one of you were born.
Year I was born.
And here they lost last Friday, 24-14. So that's only the second time they've lost in school history to Bradshaw Mountain. So it just seems like, even though you expect, Snowflake will be there in the end, seems like they may have some growing pains out of the box. And so when you're trying to get out of the box early on, you don't want to play a team like Cactus, because they can put some points on the board. And obviously, Snowflake struggled to score last week. So if you're struggling to put the ball in the end zone, you don't have much of a chance against Cactus. I mean, Brian Bellis has done a great job, like you said, Claudia, replacing Coach Ortiz over there. That program is rolling. Give me the Cactus Cobras as well. I'm going to take a 2-touchdown advantage, 34-20.
Another fun quick picks in the books. We'll see. The difference maker here is going to be Spurge making the pick that's different than you and I, Bruce. So it's going to be another fun week. Stick around for more Bleacher Talk coming up. We're going to have some fun stories out of week 1 of high school football.
Welcome back to Bleacher Talk. Keeping things fresh, keeping things new here this year on Bleacher Talk. Jordan Spurgeon, Claudia Collins. And this past week, I caught up with Seth Barron. He's a defensive end over at Red Mountain. He's a name and a kid that you're going to want to look out for this year. Has a lot of talent, was ready to take a step forward last year as a junior, his first year on varsity, before the second week of the season, where he literally blew out every ligament in his in his knee. So long recovery back to him. He's back on the field. I caught up with him to share his story. So that's something to look forward to on this show. And Claudia, I hear you've got a new segment we're going to see from time to time, right?
Yeah, that's the expectation. And we started off strong. I am going into a season of parenthood here soon. This December, I'll have my first child, baby girl. And I am not spending as much time on the sidelines, just like a safety precaution. And I was like, what can I do to make this season interesting? And it's sitting with a parent and getting to know them, getting to know their player, and just a fun thing to try something new. And like I said, started off strong. We started with Jody Jackson. You know her from Valley Sports Arizona. Obviously, she's, all over the Valley, really, but opening up for the Diamondbacks and covering Cardinals. I mean, she's been in the biz forever. So an awesome person to sit down and talk with, not just about her career, but her son, Connor Ackerley's as well. So here's a little bit of a look at what it's like to sit in the stands with Jody Jackson.
It's great seeing these guys, like seniors. I can't believe he's a senior, and all these boys that I've seen for so many years. So they're doing great. They're driving right now, so we'll see what happens.
The first thing that happened when I got here is I sat down, and Jody's first comment was, well, we haven't been on offense at all this quarter, so I'm living life.
Yeah, it's a little more relaxing, you just like kind of want to, I enjoy it. It's funny, when the defense is out there, I'm really vocal and yelling, not as much on offense. So that's my, time to kind of relax and just yell and, yay, whoever made the play. So, but yeah. So then when they're out there on offense, I get a little more,
the motherly nerves start to set in. So what was the mood at home this morning? Could you tell it was the first Friday of the season?
Yeah, he's got some little routines that he does, and just like eats some of the same food, stuff. But it really, honestly, now that this is his third year on varsity, like not as much of a big, it was kind of like, hey, good luck, same drill. And I still have nerve, there's always a little bit of nerves.
What is sports to your family in general?
It's kind of everything, almost to a point where I get a little bit like worried, okay, I just gotta make sure they know there's so many more, like I call it, it's like hashtag first world problems, like they're games, but we enjoy it, we love it. There's so many more important and serious things out there, but that's what's so great about it, right? It's just sports. Claudia, you being up here is kind of special. He doesn't normally allow too much talking up here.
Okay.
But,
and meanwhile, that's all we're doing.
He's like, Claudia, okay. So.
That's awesome. Okay, so sports-oriented family, who is the most competitive? Like, if you guys are into even just board games, who's just like nitty-gritty, like they've got to win?
That's a tough one. Probably Chad. My daughter is there, so she's over in the student section. She's a sophomore.
Being a student, fair enough.
Yeah, I saw her getting through the crowd there. Probably Chad. The kids I'm the least competitive, I think, in that stuff.
How much are you paying attention to the game when you're here and like paying attention to him playing versus like just enjoying hanging out with your friends?
It's like,
considering what just happened, I think the answer is not much.
It's like 15% watching, 85 socializing with the people. I don't watch much. I'll watch the away games when there's less people, but home games, I don't pay much attention.
Just growing up, like in general, like what sports did you guys play together, and when did you realize like you were better at one thing, he was better at another?
We played like wiffle ball in the backyard a lot growing up. We played a little volleyball. I used to play volleyball. So
he was great at volleyball.
He played volleyball on my YMCA team, and he was really good. He was the best player on the team.
We've gotten to know at least the seniors over the last 4 years.
Yes.
Who's like the biggest eater on the team? Like if you guys are having people over for, you've got an answer.
I would say Jose Chavez. He can eat.
He and Connor are really close. He's one of his linemen, and Jose comes over a lot, and they hang out, and he's a lineman, so he's supposed to eat.
I ate lunch with Connor and Jose last year, and Jose always had something new every day, like fast food. He would have Chipotle or Ona Grill. Always some fast food with him.
What does post game look like for you all?
Everyone goes to In-N-Out. All the high schoolers go to In-N-Out.
But the line is so long.
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty fun. And everyone's there, so you can socialize.
What's your advice for, that freshman parent? Maybe they've got a kid on JV freshman team. Like, they've got 4 years of high school football ahead of them. What do you want them to know?
Well, that's interesting. They're going to get a sack. Am I supposed to be cheering in the middle of this? Way to go, defense! See, it's funny, like, we're all the way up here, and in my mind, though, I need them to hear me yell, and they can't hear me, but freshman parents, again, it's like that theme of it goes fast, and it really does, blink of an eye. Just be supportive. I've tried to, as much as I know about sports, I've tried not to stick my nose in it, I've tried not to get too nitty gritty. Every night they're watching film on the biggest TV in the house, in kind of the back room. But I just watch it. I don't really comment a lot. So, I mean, kids will figure it out on their own. Of course, you could give advice, but they have coaches for that. Respect the coaches. I mean, that's probably a big one.
Here with Red Mountain senior Seth Barron. Seth, last year, second game, first home game, pretty much blew out your knee. First game back after all the recovery. What are you feeling like right now?
I feel great, man. It's kind of crazy how, that works. Like, worked my butt off to get where I'm at right now, and just glad to be back.
I mean, it's like he is a coach's dream. Unanimous decision by all of his teammates in our program to be a captain, and it's well-deserved. Hardest working kid on our team. And it was exciting for him to see, he had it in his eye. Last time he was on this field was week 2 when he tore everything in his knee, and he has busted his butt to get back where he was and played well, and it was exciting for all of us.
Even when he tore every ligament in his knee, Barron knew his playing days weren't over.
There's a lot running through my head, obviously, but as soon as I heard the surgery I could get and how it would be better, I was just straightforward from there. I was thinking maybe worse, I missed the first game, but I'm coming back 100%. That's what I wanted, and I knew I was going to do it.
The journey back to the field was gruesome. Barron had knee surgery 2 weeks after his injury, then started PT, going basically every day from 5:30 to 7:30 a.m. before school.
Oxygen bike, zero gravity treadmill, just getting back into everything, and it kind of sucked, but I had to do it, and I'm so glad I did it. It definitely taught me perseverance, obviously, just if you can put your mind to something, you can do it. It works off in the end, obviously, by tonight, we can tell that I'm 100% and I feel great. So
where has he grown the most?
Leadership role. He's that senior. He kind of turned into that right away. When he got hurt, he kind of was looking for his place, and he kind of took over the D line and was already as that vocal leader, and he leads by not only example but in the meeting room, and he knows all of his stuff. He plays multiple positions. He's made major growths in his football IQ and just leadership skills.
The last year wasn't easy for the Red Mountain senior, but he's embracing every challenge ahead while enjoying the daily process. He hopes to play in college, but knows it's not all up to him.
No matter what happens, just going on to the next play. I always get caught up on if I did get pancaked right there at the beginning, I was caught up on that. And to lessen myself and let God in more. So just trust in his plan, and I'll be fine with everything I do. So just trust in God and know I'm playing for God, and I'll be fine. I'll be fine. As long as I do that, I'll be fine.
Hey, well, shameless plug here. If you think you're a parent or you are a parent and you think you'd be a good fit for this segment, I'd love to sit with you up in the bleachers, because what could be more Bleacher Talk than that? Probably the thing that could be more Bleacher Talk than that is our social spotlight segment, which is coming up next with Eliav Gabay and Marley Xana Thompson. Stick around for that.
Welcome back to Bleacher Talk. This is Social Spotlight. I'm Eliav Gabay. She's Marley Xana Thompson. And Marley, it was getting lonely in this third segment, so I'm glad you're here. Thank you for showing up.
I am so happy to be here. I was eager to get on this and talk about some fun stuff with you finally.
And she gets social way more than I do. So we are in for a treat this season, and we are back flipping into week 2. And I mean that literally. We're starting things off in Saguaro with this sick team intro. 2 backflips to get it going. Joseph Clark and Jacoby Spence killed this right here. And Marley, if I tried this, I'd be out of commission. So don't ask.
Yeah, I was like, do they practice this beforehand? Like the guys are running around them and they just go out and do this. And coming from a former gymnast myself, I am
Okay.
very, very impressed because I do not think that I could do it with like helmet and pads on. But
That's an underrated part of it.
maybe we'll have to take it to the trampoline park and see what could happen over there.
Spurs challenge. I'm calling you out. Let's go see it, buddy. Let's see it. You got a trainer right here. Marley already knows how to do one.
Flip them right around.
That's all it is. That's all. I know you're training for bodybuilding, but you got to start with the flipping. All right. Now we're going to keep it going. Our guy, Eric Sorensen, was out at Desert Edge to watch Kansas commit an edge rusher, Deshaun Warner, go to work on that side of the ball. Enough for an entire thread of plays for Eric to post. All right, Marley, I'm going to ask you what your favorite one is first, and then I'll go.
My favorite play that he posted of the thread was number 2 because he was out there punting and then he had a massive hit which caused a fumble. And so it was just all around amazing to watch how dimensional this guy is, and he can do it all. And that's something that a college really wants. So that was very impressive for me to see.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And when I kept going down the thread, it was almost getting better and better. But I'll go with the first one. I love special teams, just like you mentioned too. Blocked field goal. That's always fun. And he almost brought it back as well. So come on. That is how you wrap up a first half. Now, let's go into this last bit. It's all about flag football. I was out in Red Mountain where the flag football team there was introduced and recognized at halftime. I love that. That is a great way to get people involved and understand that we have an AIA sanctioned sport here. I'm getting too excited to even talk. AIA sanctioned sport here. Come out and watch. I know you were out in Mountain View. What was that like?
Oh, it was so fun. It might have been 115 degrees, but everyone was suffering together, so that was fine.
Right.
So at least you weren't alone. But they had music going. The news stations were out there interviewing all these girls, showing them the love that they deserve. They actually had a good amount of fans show up. I saw some of the guys were there from football as well, supporting the girls. And then we also had a surprise guest show up from the Cardinals, but QB1 himself, Kyler Murray, showed up.
That's
which
awesome.
Was so cool to see someone of his status coming out and supporting these girls, showing what they're doing is impressive and important, and you need to keep your eye on these girls because movement is coming.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. And I hope this inspires more people to come out, because if Kyler's going, what are you doing? I know he's busy,
Come on.
playing
Come
COD,
on.
playing football, but he's busier than most people. So you can make it out if he can make it out. But thank you, Marley. This was a great first go at it. Only week 2, so much to go. But for Marley Xana Thompson, I'm Eliav Gabay. This has been Social Spotlight.
That'll do it for Bleacher Talk. So much fun as always. Glad to be back on the sidelines. Claudia, kind of bummed I'm going to be gone this week. So I am going to need you to hold down the fort because I will be taking this week off to go meet my niece. So I'll leave it to you to come up with some exciting Bleacher Talk content for next week's show.
Oh, we always will. And, I'll work for 2 since you're going to visit your niece, which will be a great time. But Bleacher Talk is always a blast, and we can't wait to bring you a new episode next week. We'll catch you then.